I want you to be the very best version of yourself that you can be.
What if this is the best version? What I'd really like is to be on Math Olympiad.
But math isn't something you're terribly strong in.
That we know of yet.
Hello watchers of Good Movies, my name is Nick Pell and this is my review of Lady Bird. Now this is the directorial debut of Greta Gerwig. If you have seen her, you've probably seen her, at least from things that I've seen, in Mistress America or Maggie's Plan or 20th Century Women, which I have not actually seen. I really want to though. But she's been an actress in those indie films and smaller films, and so if you don't recognize her name, that's probably why. But this is her first film which has come out, which she has directed to my knowledge, and let's talk about this thing. The film stars Saoirse Ronan. I'm probably butchering that, I apologize, but I don't know how to pronounce it. She is this girl who's about 17 or so. She is in her senior year of high school, and she is at a Catholic school and dealing with being a teenager, mother issues, and things that you would kind of expect. And it takes place in 2002, which I thought was a really interesting idea, because most films that you would think of would take place during 2017, 2016, somewhere in this present day. So the idea of going back to 2002 is really interesting because you get to kind of re-experience what the culture was like during that time. We had just had 9/11 in the US, and so there's a lot of TV stuff going on about that with the war in Iraq and whatnot. And you see newscasts of that playing throughout the course of the film and people talking about it and whatnot. And you also kind of forget how primitive smartphones were, because not everybody has a cell phone in their hand all the time. It's a very new thing. It's very much a new thing. And that's brought up throughout the course of the film. You kind of forget how much we have evolved as a culture in regards to the LGBT stuff, in regards to gay marriage and whatnot, and people no longer necessarily being as afraid to come out as gay as they once were, because that is something which is brought up in the film. One of the characters comes out as gay and they're just terrified because of it. They are weeping because they're scared what their parents are going to say. They're scared what society is going to think. And you kind of forget, at least for me personally, I haven't had to deal with it all that much in my life, but you forget what some people had to face, while today, from what I've seen, it's not as big of an issue as it once was. The performances in this film are very, very well done. Saoirse Ronan, she does a fantastic job. I know her mainly from Brooklyn, which was one of my favorite films of that year, and she is a very good actress. I really enjoyed her performance. She's very angsty. She has a very full head at times, and she just kind of wants to live the way she wants to live, do what she wants to do, experience things. She feels very tied down by her home life with her mother and her financial situation, and people not really taking her seriously or not expecting very much from her because of where she comes from or because of her academic grades and stuff of that sort. Laurie Metcalf plays her mother in this film, and I thought she also did a very good job in her role, because one of the things which I really appreciated about this film is the fact that we get to see, at some points, this is very much a film focusing on Lady Bird, Christine, Saoirse Ronan's character, but we also get to see at some points kind of where the mom is coming from after fights happen or things of that sort. It's really easy in these teenage focused films to feel after a fight happens or something where the teenager is the main character that the parent is in the wrong, because we're just seeing things from the perspective of a certain character. And so seeing parents' reactions to things as opposed to the teenagers, it kind of puts things in a more equal setting and an equal light. And it's something which I personally really appreciated. And I think what this film does really, really well is captures what it is to be a teenager, both in 2002 and even today in this modern day. Because you have teenagers and 20-year-olds and just kids fighting with their parents about stupid things, about serious things. And one thing which is really well done in this film, which I really liked, is that it acknowledges from both sides of these characters, especially with Saoirse Ronan's character, that while she may be upset with her mother for things that she's doing or for obsessing over her, being very particular about things. She acknowledges that she's doing it because she loves her, and she knows that, and I think that that's something which a lot of teenagers do. But there is one question which is asked towards the end of the film, and I won't go into details or anything, but she does ask her mom, after her mom says, I do love you, she asks, but do you like me? And that's something which I think is the core of a lot of teenage angst and teenage issues with parents and whatnot, is that you know that your parents love you, in 90% of cases, I think. But do they like you as people? Do they like the choices that you're making? Do they like the fashion statements that you're doing? Do they like you as a person? That's, I think, what ultimately comes down to later and later in life as you grow up and become more dependent and more on your own. The only real issue that I have with this film is that it can be a little bit slow at times. It is a film that is pretty much about life. It's about growing up as a teenager in 2002, and the issues which this particular character goes through during her senior year of high school. And while it is interesting, I did find myself check my watch once or twice just to see how far along the film was, even though it does run only 90 minutes. And there's a lot of things I could continue to say about this film. I think it's one that is going to be discussed a lot in regards to a lot of the characters in this film, particularly the main character and her relationship with her mother, who's more right per se, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, it feels like a very real film. It's a really good example of what it is to be a teenager and have a relationship with your mother or your father, and seeing both sides of that relationship and how they can contrast and conflict and things of that sort. It's very realistic, very well done, and I really enjoyed the film as a result of it. So guys, those are my thoughts on Lady Bird. I definitely say check this thing out if you have the opportunity. It's very limited release right now. It somehow ended up at my AMC theater. I don't know why or how this early on, but it was there, so I wanted to check it out, and I really liked it. Check it out once it gets to an area close to you. I highly recommend it. It's very, very good. But guys, those are my thoughts on Lady Bird. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought of it. And as always, my people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.